So going into the South African series, India's facing a couple of selection conundrums, doesn't it? That all-rounder spot, what kind of a combination to play, how many fast bowlers, how many spinners, then who to open with, because India have got three world-class openers, I believe, in terms of Shikhar Dhawan, KL Rahul and Murali Vijay. And all three of them have got their own strengths, own weaknesses. But who will India actually go with for the first test match in South Africa? In this episode, we discuss that. Let's begin with Shikhar Dhawan. Shikhar Dhawan is the type of batsman who can change the complexion of a game within a few hours. If he's out there for an entire session, you can rest assured that the team would have at least put on 100-150 runs. And that is the sort of strength that Shikhar Dhawan lends to the side, because he's an aggressive player, he can change the game, counter-attack when you're under pressure. But at the same time, amongst all the three batsmen that are in contention, the technique of Shikhar Dhawan compared to the other two, Rahul and both Vijay, the technique of Shikhar Dhawan is slightly lax, and that is where I think he'll be found wanting in South Africa. The ball will seam a bit more, the ball will bounce a bit more, and against the likes of Mokul, Steyn, Rabada, someone like a Shikhar Dhawan doesn't always inspire confidence. He's slightly loose when it comes to sort of striking the ball through the offside. Mind you, that's also his strength. But then he also falls prey to the ball outside the stump, edges the ball, or is slightly loose in his technique. So that is going to be the point against Shikhar Dhawan. But at the same time, Shikhar Dhawan's career has taken a complete revival. It has flipped 180 degrees in the past 6 months. He was on the verge of being dropped from the limited over squad, but was selected. A lot of people had a problem with him being in the Champions Trophy squad in the first place. But then he proved everyone wrong, didn't he? Absolutely hammered everyone all over England in the Champions Trophy. Then also played very well in Sri Lanka. So those overseas performances came in. And then also in the current ongoing first test match versus Sri Lanka at home, he scored about 90 runs in the second innings. And again, sort of proved the counter-attacking flair of Shikhar Dhawan. India was in a spot of bother, 120 runs behind, but he came in and attacked. And that's exactly what the team management wants from him. But then that point will also be held against Shikhar Dhawan when he is sort of getting out to a rash shot while a situation is sort of commanding him to be a little more cautious. Now let's go on to the next batsman in case, and I'm talking about KL Rahul. I personally feel amongst the three openers that India currently have, Rahul is the most accomplished one. He scored runs in all kinds of conditions. Injuries though have sort of held his career back a bit. Every time he gets going, he gets injured, so he has to make a comeback, which is never easy. But he's always come back and scored runs, and that is what is important, right? So I feel Rahul will walk right into this Indian lineup. He will open in the first test in South Africa. But then there's someone else waiting in the wings. Someone who isn't playing this first ongoing test match versus Sri Lanka. And this person is Murali Vijay. Murali Vijay, about 2 years back, was this mainstay of the Indian batting lineup, if you remember. So for a couple of years, he averaged 45 in test matches, had good away performances. But then in the previous 2 years, his average has slackened a bit. His performances have gone down, and now he's averaging in the mid-30s for the past 2 years. And that sort of inconsistency has paved the way for someone like Shikhar Dhawan to come in and establish himself, stake a claim in this Indian batting lineup. He had excellent one-day form, which is translated into very sound, consistent test performances. And going into an important series like South Africa, the selectors, Virat Kohli, Ravi Shastri, the entire team management would want people who would be in form, who would score runs, who have the confidence of playing long innings to be in the batting lineup. And that is why I feel that someone like Shikhar Dhawan and KL Rahul will be there in the first test match versus South Africa. A lot of people though aren't big fans of Shikhar Dhawan playing test match cricket overseas because, as I mentioned earlier, the technique might get exposed a bit. But then if that happens, you always can rely on someone like Murali Vijay, who is technically very sound, has proven himself in the past, is probably going through a slightly lax phase right now. But due to the sheer amount of runs Dhawan has scored, both in one-days and tests over the past 6 months, I feel the selectors would back him to be in the playing 11 along with KL Rahul in the first test match. That's it for this episode, and there's so much more to discuss regarding South African series, regarding the Ashes which is coming up. We're all excited about it, aren't we? There's so much more to discuss. Don't forget to subscribe, like, share it on social media if you enjoyed this. I hope to see you soon.